In less than 36 hours, the United States Navy shut down 90% of Iran's economy. Not with bombs, not with missiles, with warships, P-8 patrol aircraft, and a simple radio call. Turn around. 8 oil tankers tried to move in or out of Iranian ports since Monday morning, 10 a.m. 8 tankers got stopped. 0 boardings have been necessary. Every single one complied. Admiral Brad Cooper from CENTCOM just said it plain that the blockade is fully implemented as U.S. forces maintain maritime superiority in the Middle East. 90% of Iran's economy is fueled by international trade by sea. In less than 36 hours since the blockade was implemented, U.S. forces have completely halted economic trade going into and out of Iran by sea. That is from CENTCOM, from the 4-star. Folks, that is a chokehold, and Iran is feeling it right now. They're about to tap out. You know, Trump's about to have a UFC event at the White House, and they could very well all be wearing Iranian jerseys because they are tapping out. They're running out of oxygen. They're running out of their lifeline. The IRGC depends on money. And estimates right now, before the blockade, before the conflict, Iran was pulling about $100 million a day in oil. Since the blockade, or since the conflict started, it's spiked up to 165 million. So right now they're losing anywhere from $100 to $165 million per day. That is how bad they are reeling. There's no money coming in. There's no products, goods, services, oil going to China or Russia. So not only are we squeezing the source, we're cutting off the consumer. When you cut off the consumer, they look for other avenues. And there's a lot of their ships headed to the Gulf of America. No one ever thought Donald Trump would be selling oil to Middle East. I'm at the point right now where he's going to start selling ice to Eskimos. But I'm going to give you the big picture on this because nobody in the media is doing it. Iran is finished. I'm not talking about one bad week. I'm talking about half a century of military investment wiped off the map. We're going back to Jimmy Carter. Now, missiles, drones, submarines, their capital ships, gone. Air bases, man pads, missile launchers, their command and control is gutted down to the second and third tier. Nobody even knows who's in charge over there right now. We're on like Ayatollah number 7. I think they're running out of cardboard cutouts. And I want you to look at the ripple effects. You've got to zoom out. You got to get out of this doomsayer routine. Russia's been completely cut out of the Middle East. China's watching what our drones did and rethinking that 110-mile trip across Taiwan Strait. NATO showed us exactly who they are. Donald Trump, the president, has a real uncanny ability of exposing who hates America, who doesn't want to carry their own weight, who doesn't want to pay their own way. And America's done. Spain, France, Italy, Turkey, England, I believe they're all useless, especially when we need them. We were getting attacked. They don't want to step in. And I'll tell you what, one other thing that nobody's talking about. The Strait of Hormuz is dying as their strategic asset. The Saudis and Emirates, they are building pipelines around it right now. This has shown the world how Iran operates. You let them control the flow, and they will. Iran has never won a war. They have never lost a negotiation because they've always had this oil supply. They've always had the Strait of Hormuz as their ace in the hole, as their, quote, trump card, no pun intended. But if we give this about another year, maybe 2, there's going to be a pipeline around this. And once there's a pipeline, Iran's seat at the table is gone. And I believe the regime knows that they're on borrowed time. I believe they're starting to understand by doing this, they have shown their weakness. They have shown the world how to get around them. They know it and we know it. And think about what just happened. 6 weeks is all that this took. Not 50 years, not going back to Carter, Reagan, Bush, Clinton, Bush, Obama, Biden. No, none of them through 50 years did a damn thing except let Iran have a seat at the table. This administration has shut it down. We are deciding who gets through. We're deciding where they go or who they're delivering to. You can't deny this right now. The United States Navy has just flipped the script. Navy ships are turning around everything coming into the blockade. You see these cruisers. These are the ones you see. You're not seeing the aircraft fly sorties. You're not seeing the unmanned submersibles, submarines under the ocean surface. You're not seeing the submarines that are operating in this area. And that's what's having the most effect. Everything revolves around the sea in and around Iran. The oil's in the ground, but they can't get it out. And they're losing so much money per day that they have to. They have to get back to the negotiating table. There are reports from the Wall Street Journal saying that, the blockade has been effective, but yet some ships are coming through. I believe the United States Navy has something in place that is going to vet these ships coming in and vet the ships coming out. None of us have seats at the Intelligence Committee briefings. None of us are inside of these intel briefings with the president, with his daily report. So we're just going to take the news media at their word, right? I don't know about you, but this has shown me how much misinformation is coming out of various locations and what organizations are working for America, working against the narrative, and basically just pandering for something. And I've yet to figure out what their actual goal is. But the signs are here. The scramble from Iran-linked ships amid the blockade. Now, they falsely flagged some ships that were coming out yesterday. The Chinese Rich Starry, and there was a couple of others. After further investigation, they have been proven to have been vetted. They are on, I would say, kind of probation as to who they're carrying materials for. But this Rich Starry, they made the U-turn, went back, got verified, got checked, and then came back through the port. So, are we slowing things down? Absolutely. Do we have a full gate on there? Yes. Are we in control? Undeniably. We control who moves. We decide who gets through. And the first thing we decided is the word nothing Iranian. Nothing Iranian gets through. When we cut off their supply, they have to come back to the table. And I believe that Donald Trump doesn't want to put boots on the ground. Are we going to have to? I don't know. But you can see here, more information coming out of national security, Free Beacon. U.S. blockade in Persian Gulf says threatening to deprive Islamic Republic billions in oil revenue. The siege could cost Tehran $435 million per day. That is not money that they can get back. This is not money that their consumers, China, Iran, are going to backdate a check on. And I think the only thing that these countries really understand is intimidation. They understand power, and they understand currency. Now, with all of this currency chaos happening, I myself am starting to diversify. I don't have a lot of trust in many things, but I have trust in gold. And I'll say this, you're looking here, gold's down $29 an ounce. It's almost hit $5,000. It's at about $4,800 an ounce right now. Silver is at $80, or close to $80 an ounce. And when the dollar's convertibility into gold ended in 1971, gold was at $35 an ounce. Fast forward today, you see the price. That's why central banks are buying gold at record levels. That's why firms like Vanguard and BlackRock hold significant positions in gold. And that's why I encourage you to consider diversifying your savings with physical gold from Birch Gold Group. But it starts with education. Birch just announced their Learn and Earn Precious Metals event. I'll put a link down in the description below, but you've got to act now. This special event only runs through April 30th. The dollar lost its anchor in 1971. You don't have to lose yours. Text my name, Dykes, to the number 989898 to join Birch Gold's Learn and Earn Precious Metals event by April 30th. Text Dykes to 989898 today. I will put a link in the description. Give them a chance to earn your business and give yourself a chance to get ahead while the economy is in a little bit of chaos. Capitalize for yourself.
I think the Iranians have made two miscalculations here. Yes, they shut the Straits of Hormuz down, and we began to pay an economic and political price for that inside the United States. And yes, there was certainly pressure on the administration and on President Trump as a result of that. They went into those negotiations thinking this is going to be good for us because the administration is going to make some concessions to us because of that pressure. Wrong. That did not happen. As a matter of fact, we stood our ground. The president is talking to his team. He said, I want everything. And they didn't get everything. And Iran had to go home with their tail between their legs and figure out what's the strategy next here. The other thing is they're threatening, as usual, strong rhetoric, how they're going to interfere with what we're doing here in terms of this blockade, which has taken all of their revenue away. Well, if they're going to do that over the next 8 days, you know what's going to happen. We're back in full combat operations again.
So that's General Jack Keane. He brings up a great point. Iran went into the negotiations with J.D. Vance thinking they held all the cards. Now that there's no money being delivered, they've ran out of cards. Something that's still on the table, we've got about 10,000 military members in the Middle East. Do you believe Donald Trump is going to go back and continue with airstrikes, resume those with this ceasefire? With the ceasefire, there's a lot of rumors that that resets his 60-day window. If that is the case, Iran is, I feel sorry for the people in Iran. Not for the horrible regime, but for the actual citizens. Because the infrastructure there is going to be wiped out. And they have no one to blame except their leadership. And at some point, they have to do something for themselves. That's where I'm at right now. I really appreciate you tuning in this morning. Give you kind of this update, this rundown, and get you caught up so that you know what's going on. You understand why the prices here are going up. And hey, that's just the way it is. But do you want to kick this can down the road to your grandkids? Do you want Iran to continue to control 90% of the world's economy through a 21-mile stretch of water? I don't believe so. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one, guys.